Oh my gosh, all the things. Okay, so hey everybody. At first I want to just lead off by saying happy Friday. Um, yeah, happy Friday. I know that this weekend is probably going to feel a little different to people than what it normally would be in terms of, holiday celebrations and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be interesting. Welcome to Healing Conversations with Franchon, and today's guest is Chris, or Christopher. Do you prefer Chris or Christopher?
Chris is fine.
Chris is fine. Okay. So I think I'm going to start out with just kind of reintroducing the concept of what we're doing quickly. So this is Healing Conversations with Franchon, and this came out of spending way too much time in quarantine, and thinking about creating space where I could just kind of be myself, and then creating space where other people, where they could be themselves. So that's kind of what we're doing, is just kind of allowing a space to be a therapist and to be a business owner, to be a woman of color, to be a friend, to be an auntie, to be all the different things that I am. And then every couple of weeks we have a different guest that comes on and just kind of talks about whatever they want to talk about and how that intersects with whatever I'm doing. So that's kind of what we're doing here. And Chris volunteered to be a guest. So thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself, because I'm sure I'll miss something if I do it.
Well, my name is Chris Everett, Christopher Everett, my full name, and I am the founder and president of Speller Street Films. We are a full-service film production and distribution company right in the heart of Durham, North Carolina. I've been doing films for about 10 years now. I have a background in graphic design from King's College in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm originally born and raised from Laurinburg, North Carolina as well. So, I'm North Carolina bred all day.
I forget you're from Laurinburg, which is crazy because you told me not too long ago that you're going to visit family in Laurinburg, and it didn't click with me that you were from Laurinburg. So I would say, and this is just me guessing, I would say Chris is most known for Wilmington on Fire.
Yeah, the award-winning documentary, Wilmington on Fire.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And isn't there another one coming or something like that?
Oh yeah, we got Wilmington on Fire Chapter 2 coming next fall, like next November 2021 as well.
Okay, cool. And then I think there's another project that's just a county over in Leland, right? Well, it's the same county in Leland that you got going on.
Yeah, it's about it's called Grandmaster. It's about Grandmaster Vic Moore. He's a martial arts pioneer from the 1960s. And, he lives in Delco, North Carolina. He's not originally from Delco. He's just, put his roots, down in Delco over the past, 10 years. But he's originally from Cincinnati.
Okay.
The documentary is about, his impact to the sport of karate. And, he's a brother as well. He's a black man. And you don't really see a lot of us showcasing that light about doing martial arts. It's always some Dragonfly Jones type of stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Dragonfly Jones.
Yeah, so I wanted to really, capture the essence of what it really means to be a true black martial artist. And so we're almost done with that project, and that project should be out, I would say, by next summer.
Okay. So that is a documentary, which makes me think about kind of what brought us here today, because you and I were talking and we were sharing articles about documentary making and mental health and kind of all that. So today's topic is, what does success look like? But before we kind of get into success, you made me think of something when you were talking. Can you tell me what you as a filmmaker and as a documentary maker, why do you know or understand that mental health is important? Like, what made you kind of want to reach out and have this conversation with me?
No, because I think that I know even in the documentary field, this type of discussion has been coming up recently. I think that us as documentary filmmakers, we deal with a lot of that stress on that level because, we're documenting real life situations. We're documenting real stories. And so, when we're doing these type of projects, we're hanging around and being a part of, different subjects' lives. You know what I'm saying? And we become like their best friend almost, or
right.
brother, or or son to them a lot of times, or sister, or or something like that, or a son a lot of times, so you really become a part of their lives, and you take on their struggles, their joy, and everything else in between, and that takes a toll on you. as a filmmaker, because, you
Right.
document this stuff. And a lot of times, all we can do is really document and try to put it out in film format to really highlight their story the best of our ability. But at the end of the day, we still carry a lot of that burden, with us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, I wish I can help out a little more than just this documentary. Or, they might be going through a certain situation. Sometimes you can try to help the best as you can, but sometimes you can't. And a lot of times, people think just because you make a film, you're making all this money, like you're a
Right.
type of, power mogul or something, but that's not the case at all. Documentary filmmaking is just, it's an art form that you really have to love to do. It's a passion of wanting to tell stories and to educate folks. It's not really a lot of money in it at all.
Right.
Those are the other things that you deal with as a documentary filmmaker, is that people's perception of things that you're trying to do as well. So you're carrying all this baggage.
Mm-hmm.
Same time of that, and also dealing with folks that are in your film as well. And there's really no one that you can really talk to other than possibly other documentary filmmakers, about certain things. And, we all deal with it, but we all really try to hide it the best of our ability so we can just go ahead and finish up the projects that we're trying to do.
Right. Which is, I just want to, first of all, say thank you so much for being honest. Thank you for reaching out to me. Thank you for recognizing the intersection. Like you said, I know that it's something that in the field other people are talking about. It's not just you, but I just want to honor having a Black male volunteer to have this conversation, to record the conversation, to stream it, is a big deal. So I just kind of want to point that out and say thank you. The other thing I was listening to you say is you spend time with the people, your subjects. How long, and I know every film is different, every documentary is different, but can you give me like a median mark of how long you're spending with that family or those individuals?
It all depends. I know with a couple of my films, it's been like 5 years. I know some documentarians, they spend upwards to 10 to 20. So, documenting their lives, or, really just hanging around them, just to get a feel of who they're about, whether it's research or whatever, so it could be up to like, 5 to 10 years of you really being, like I said, you become a part, of their family,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa.
Right. Yeah. That's a long time. I mean, it really made me think about, in most, like you said, most documentary filmmakers, because there's filmmakers, right? And then there's all these different genres within filmmaking. And I think sometimes we throw all filmmakers into the same category. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't friends with you, I would probably do the same thing. I would probably be like, well, a filmmaker is a filmmaker, but that's not true. Just like a trauma specialist and a schizophrenia specialist and a CBT specialist in therapy are different things. So I think one of the things that it sounds to me like is maybe a problem to start addressing is this feeling of, I just need to hold on for these years, because it could be anywhere from, it sounds like 1 year to 10 years, depending on what you're doing, what you're documenting, your funding, your film crew, a pandemic happens or not, like there's all these things that can change stuff. So for this long period of time, you're spending time with these individuals, and, to quote you, you feel like you have to hide the impact that it's having on you. And from a mental health perspective, that's super unhealthy. But at the same time, it also sounds to me like the industry hasn't really figured out a way yet to provide the support needed for individuals while they're engaging in this filmmaking, for you and for your crew, however big your crew is, whether it's just you and one person or, it's a 5-10 person crew. In any case, it sounds like you guys don't have the system that you need in place to get the support, because as you also said, there's a lot of assumptions. People hear Wilmington on fire and award winning and all those things, but it's probably the assumption, well, I'm sure Chris has the money to pay his crew and pay for therapy. So is that true?
Now, see, the thing is, man, when you're doing these type of films, especially with documentary, it's very hard to get funding. So that's another stressor and impact on right there, is the money aspect of, worrying about paying your crew or paying, for certain things, because you want to produce high quality, you want to produce quality work. Even if you're doing a low budget project, still, you're still going to be shelling out some money. So just worrying about stuff like that. Also, worrying about possibly not even paying yourself until you get the project done. I had to do that with a couple of projects, not even paying myself. It went straight into the production. of the project. So, sacrificing a lot, and a lot of that stuff, it wears on you. It wears
Right.
on you mentally and everything. And I went through it for a while, even with Wilmington on Fire. A lot of people, like you said, they see the successes and accolades, but then realize that, I was like, going through a real depression over that whole period, all the way about to, I would say, about a couple years ago. And it was just everything about, because even when you finish the film, that's just the first step. You have to go out there,
Right.
market it and promote it, and being on the road for like 3 years, constantly screening and being away, from your own life as well, of going to different cities, getting sick because you're traveling all the time,
Right.
all that stuff, man. And, you constantly have to shell out money to keep the ball moving and to keep it going, because, I'm 100% independent. I'm not backed by Netflix or nobody like that. So everything we do, we do it on our own. And we were proud of that. But, I also have to realize that, I can't kill myself out here. I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And it really took me a long time until I actually got sick earlier this year and had to go to the hospital because I wasn't taking care of myself all these years while I was doing a film. So now I've really totally changed that. You know what I'm saying? I started really to focus more on me first and make sure that, hey, if I'm not here or if I'm not well, I won't be able to make any film at all. So I finally
Right.
realized that I have to take care of myself first, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
And I think that I know that that's a big reason why. And for everybody that knows me, anybody that knows me knows, I kind of just jump onto something and do it. And that's what you're doing too. So we didn't have a lot of prep time. We talked about this a little bit, like, hey, what do we want to talk about? We came up with the title, and we just, Kiana made a flyer for us and we pushed it out, which is amazing. But I was really interested to know if you were going to share that, because my question was going to be, what made you realize that you really have to prioritize that self-care?
Oh, being in the hospital for 5 days. They're really having 2 IVs stuck in my arm for 5 days.
Right.
That really showed me, man. I was like, you know what? If I would have kept doing this, because I was actually thinking like that anyway. I said, man, I'm not gonna be here next year if I keep doing this. I'm gonna end up dying of a stroke, heart attack, or something.
Right.
And that really woke me up, of being in the hospital in January. And I was really feeling sick all last year anyway. And I just kept pushing through and pushing through.
Mm-hmm.
And just, because you know how it is in our community, especially when you're a Black man, we're taught to just suck it up and,
Right.
go ahead and keep pushing. It's that whole John Henry type of thing of, keep, you got to outbeat the machine, and, how he machine, and then he died at the end. I was like, you know what, I can't do that. I'm not John Henry, a make-believe character or whatever. So I'm not doing that. I need to take care of myself, because if I'm not right, my film company won't be right, and these films won't be right. And a lot of times, another thing with being a filmmaker, regardless of genre, whether it's documentary or narrative, whatever, commercials, we're always pressured to have our product out at a certain time. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell filmmakers, man, don't rush it, take your time. And the public and people will say, hey, when is the next Wilmington on Fire come out? I said, man, I'm taking my time with it, and it would really affect me. I'm like, man, I got to hurry up and do it. So
Right.
I'm filming that. So I let the Grand Master project, which I should have been finishing, and I said, nah, let me go ahead and try to get Wilmington on Fire in there as well. So now I'm working I was working on 2 films at the same time, knowing I shouldn't have done that, because I should have been saying, you know what, let me take my time. Let me finish Grand Master first and then go into Wilmington on Fire 2. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't really overwork myself. Because again, if I'm not here to do anything, nothing's going to happen.
Right. Right. So one of my questions is before you were in the hospital, I know it's hard, hindsight is always 2020, but before you had those health issues and were forced basically to completely stop everything, is there anything that anyone could have said or done to help you prioritize that self-care, to help you come to some of the realizations that you've come to since then?
I don't know, because, I've had several people, say, man, you need to take care of yourself. You need to slow down. I had others that just didn't really care, you know what I'm saying? They wanted me to be like a machine. But I had a lot of folks tell me that, I really need to, take care of myself and take a vacation. You know, I wasn't doing none of it. I wasn't taking no vacations. I was working every day nonstop, whether it was a day job and then right after that, going right into Speller Street stuff. You know, we constantly were doing screenings. I was doing 2 or 4 screenings a month as well. I just didn't listen to nobody. I said, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to get this money so I can do more projects. You know what I'm saying? Because my goal was to always create a self-sustaining type of business where we'll apply for grants, we'll try to seek investors, but if it don't work, we still have enough capital to do what we want to do and just keep the ball rolling. And that's what I was trying to do, but it almost killed me. You know, trying to do that type of stuff. I just didn't listen. I never listened. I never listened to what people were trying to tell me to do about what I should be eating, you know, to stop drinking. And like I said, ever since January, I haven't drunk at all.
Congratulations.
I'm doing the pescatarian thing now. So
yes.
I've lost about 15, 20 pounds. So
wow. And I know that you've, even in pandemic, have been working out. Like I said, we talk. So there's some stuff that I'm aware of. So yeah.
Working out at all, period, ever. You know, during my whole time of filming, you know, my documentaries or any of my film work, I wasn't never working out at all. And so now I make it an actual thing of I'm working out every day. Every day I'm working out. And also watching what I'm eating and all of that. All of that's coming first now. Back, you know, years ago, I wasn't doing that. But now I'm making it a priority to take care of myself.
Right. So in your industry, is self-care, I know in some industries, self-care is almost like a dirty word. It's almost like nobody wants to hear that. So in your industry, how is self-care not talked about at all? Is it a dirty word? Like how is it used?
Not necessarily, you know what I'm saying? You know, because a lot of times, you know, when people try to use the word self-care, they think you're being selfish. Or they think you're just playing around, like, oh, why are you taking a vacation for? I got to re-energize, you know, like, but when I looked at it, like, it wasn't until I went to the hospital to realize that I've been doing Wilmington on Fire nonstop since 2011. Because you got to realize, you got to put in perspective. 2011 is when I started researching it. So that's work. 2012, 2015 was filming it. 2015 up to really recently, the COVID-19 happened and we was promoting, you know what I'm saying, doing screenings and stuff. So like from 2011 to now, I just been doing film stuff nonstop without even having really a break at all. And then that's just Wilmington on Fire. Then I had other projects during that time period as well that I was working on, helping produce or create whatever, you know what I'm saying? So the workload was also, you know, tackled on during that time period. So I just realized that I never really had a vacation at all. You know, I just felt like, you know, like I said, just in our community, especially when you're a brother, you know, you don't want to be, you know, that lazy type person, you know what I'm saying? I was just, you know, I was raised old school, man. You know, my grandfather was hardworking. You know, I saw him, you know, bust his tail every day, working 20 hours a day at the wire plant sometimes. And so, you know, that was always, you know, a motivation of always wanting to be a hardworking man. But you know, it wasn't until recently that I said, you know what, I can't just overwork myself and just kill myself. So.
Right. Okay. So I just want to point out, like, for those of us, some takeaways that I heard, because the topic is, you know, success and what does success look like? I'm hearing that success for you looks like paying attention to what you eat. It looks like working out. It looks like taking time off. So it sounds like those are kind of the key elements that you've implemented since January. I also hear a lot of learning that outside pressures are you're acknowledging them, but you're not allowing them to control you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's super, super important in my field and your field, just as human beings. It's okay to listen to be aware of kind of what critics have to say and what people have to say. But ultimately, I think we need to have that safeguard between this is what the world wants me to do and this is what I want to do. I've definitely been learning that in a pandemic of, like, you know, everyone's like, you know, Franchon, you could have a 7 days a week caseload right now because you could do telemedicine. And I'm like, I understand that. And I am doing telehealth, but I'm not doing it 6 days a week. Right. Because I don't want to, because that's not what's best for me. I understand financially, but that's not what I want.
See, people think, you know, just because, you know, you're in your field that you can just do this, even though, you know, we love what we do. Like, I'm filmmaking. But it shouldn't mean that I need to do this every day, all day. I need a break. It's just like any other job where you have your 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You know what I'm saying? You got your 2 or 3 weeks vacation built in. You got
Right.
means off. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing. But see, I wasn't, I thought just because I love doing something and it didn't feel like work, but it still is work on your body. Your body doesn't know that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Your body doesn't know that you just love it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
you gotta listen to your body as well and your mind.
Okay. Ah, I love it. All right, Miss Kiana, do we have any questions on either? Do you have any questions? Do people on Facebook have any questions?
Well, Facebook, I do not see any questions, but I do have one quick one for Mr. Chris. During this current situation, our working conditions look very different. They probably will be very different for the next 6 to probably 12 months. We really don't know. But for those aspiring class of 2020, just young professionals who aspire to be a film director and go in that career, what is something that they need to hold on, gain some type of tunnel vision, outside of everything else that's going on? What would you tell somebody that's aspiring, especially from Wilmington, North Carolina?
Oh, I would say, one thing I would say, hey, it doesn't really matter where you're at. I did Wilmington on Fire, and a lot of my films living in Laurinburg, and Laurinburg makes Wilmington look like Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So it really doesn't matter where you're at now because of technology. I was able to, and when I say that, because technology is really can let you access anybody. Like I deal with a lot of people in Hollywood, and I never really met them in person. We do a lot of stuff through Zoom and text and all of that. So as long as you're doing quality work, people are going to find you. It doesn't matter whether you're in the smallest town or the biggest city. You got some quality stuff and some good stuff, they're going to find you. They're going to pay attention. So I would say, just with technology in regards to promotion is there. You just got to do it. You know what I'm saying? There's stories all around you, even in your own family. You'll be surprised what's in your own backyard, whether it's your own family, your block, your neighborhood, your town, your city, your county, you know what I'm saying, your state. You'll be surprised the stories that are all around you. We just never really realize it, you know what I'm saying, until we actually look for it. So if you want to tell a story, just do it. Also, a friend of mine, I'm actually possibly going to do like a small little webinar with him soon. He created a cool guide. If anybody out there, they can just hit me up on Facebook. And he created a cool guide about how to do mobile filmmaking and actually make a movie with your iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Because he wanted to show people, even during this COVID-19 situation, you can be out here doing some stuff, something creative. And so he gives a comprehensive guide, easy follow guide of how to actually use your cell phone and turn your cell phone into an actual good camera. Because these cell phones now and these apps, you can shoot high quality stuff, and tell a good story and everything. So I would say if anybody want to pursue this type of thing, you just got to just go ahead and start doing it. You know what I'm saying? Learn editing. There's plenty of tutorials out there, plenty of software out there, and just go ahead and start using your iPhone and just start shooting it and try to find your voice and your own style. You know what I'm saying? It takes time. It takes practice. I've been doing this for 10 years and I'm still learning. So you never know what you can do until you actually do it. So I would tell that person to just find a mentor. I'm always out, if anybody wants to, need some mentorship, hit me up. I do it all the time. We just helped a young sister earlier this year put out her first film. It's called The Black Baptism. And it's been in a couple of festivals, but it was going to be in some more, but COVID-19 happened. So I executive produced that and kind of co-financed it as well. It's a Black sci-fi short film. And so we do stuff like that all the time, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I do. I always encourage other filmmakers who can do that to do the same thing. So it's out there. You just got to just do it. There's plenty of online tutorials, free information out there on YouTube and different podcasts. And like I said, if anybody needs some help or some guidance, just hit me up.
I appreciate that. I have 2 more questions from me. The next one is, so does that mean that Snapchat and Instagram, I can put that together and it'll be a film?
No? It all depends. You got some people you got some people I'm seeing doing some real cool stuff, like little
Yeah.
short films on Instagram. You know, a short film is anything, man. It's like a minute to like 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
You can do something real cool and fly, you know, within a minute or 5 minutes. You can put that on Instagram. It's really up to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't, you know, I didn't go to film school. I'm not the traditional filmmaker type person, but it's all about being creative. You know, you know if something's janky or not. You know what I'm saying? If you film something and it ain't good, like don't do it. There's a couple of film projects I did before Wilmington on Fire. I'm ashamed to show them joints. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say it takes time and practice. You know,
yeah.
just go outside with your phone, get you a rig, a stabilization rig, and just go out and just shoot stuff just in your own neighborhood at first, or just in your house, or capture like your grandmother, your aunt talking about, you know, growing up back in the day or whatever. You'd be surprised, you know, the type of interesting conversations and stories you can capture just doing those things like that.
Cool beans. And then my last question. In the near future, can we expect to hear about a Chris Everett Studios?
Oh, we already got it. You know what I'm saying? We got Speller Street Films. You know,
Okay.
we doing our thing out here. We got, like I said, we got the award-winning documentary, Wilmington on Fire. We got chapter 2 coming. We're actually going to do an online screening June 25th online. We're going to show, you know, Wilmington on Fire, plus do a Q&A with me, but we're also going to be debuting the first trailer for part 2 for the whole world to see. And, you know, we got Grandmaster, that martial arts documentary. We got Harlem's Last Poet that we're working on about the Last Poet's co-founder, Abiodun Oyewole. We got another joint, I Don't Live Today. That's a narrative film that we got in development in New York. Got another joint called The Saintly Madness. We shot the pitch video in February in New York. You know, we have a lot of things, you know, so we actually are kind of building our own little, you know, independent studio. You know, like I said, I never thought that after Wilmington on Fire, I was going to be doing this, you know, like I'm doing it now. You know, I just thought that, okay, I'm going to do Wilmington on Fire. I'm going to go back to school and that'll be it. I didn't think it was going to lead me down the path of actually operating and owning a full studio.
That is dope. Thank you so much for answering my questions. We have a question from Dorian Cromarty. The question asks, does he recruit and or show young people in his community that they can be a filmmaker and etc.?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, tell Dorian that, hey, just hit me up on Facebook. Just hit me up on Facebook, and if they want to chat about it, we can. I do it all the time. Like, I'm actually talking to some young filmmakers this weekend. This other young guy, I've been helping him with his documentary over the past year and a half. If people are familiar with the rap group Little Brother, he's been doing a documentary on them. And so I've been helping him the past year and a half with that. So that should be coming out real soon. So, you know, that's what I do, you know, is try to give back to filmmakers as much as I can. You know, I have to kind of take a break sometime, going back to the whole mental health thing. I don't try to overwork myself, you know, and that's why I always encourage other folks to do the same thing, because somebody helped me. You know, my mentor is Pete Chapman, who's a television director. He directs a lot of big shows like Blackish and all those stuff. So, you know, he helped me do Wilmington on Fire, and also Tariq Nasheed as well, who's done the groundbreaking Black history documentary series Hidden Colors. Those two brothers really helped me, and also David West, retired NBA player. He also helped with Wilmington on Fire as well. So, you know, those three guys, if it wasn't for those three guys, you know, I wouldn't be where I am today. You know, they gave me a shot and invested in me and gave me a platform. And so I try to do the same thing, you know, with other filmmakers as well.
Thank you so much for answering that question. I put your Facebook in the question app. Mentorship is so critical, especially for the previous generation and the future generations. Mentorship is somewhat taken for granted, unfortunately, you know. So I definitely appreciate you. That's the only question that I see.
So thank you very much. The only thing I kind of just want to add to one of the question that Kiana asked in terms of for Wilmington, like, I think what I heard you say, and what I just want to say as a business owner, what I'm learning too, is if you are born and raised in Wilmington, I think it's important to look locally in terms of storytelling, but connect globally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think, I love Wilmington. It's growing on me, but I think that there's a lot of great stories here. And I think there's a lot of value of telling the stories of what's happening in Wilmington and look around and tell those stories. But we need to connect with people outside of this little bubble that we got going on in Wilmington.
So easy. And it's so easy now. Like I said, my boy Pete Chapman, he's like I said, he's a Hollywood director. I was able to hook up with him. I was a fan, you know what I'm saying? Because I had a couple of his films. And I just emailed him. I said, look, man, I admire your work. I got both of your films. He did a great film called Premium, and it starred Zoe Saldana, Hill Harper. And I remember he was like in, I think it was like Jet Magazine. They had him like as the next Spike Lee, you know what I'm saying? So I had that. And he also did a great documentary about the 761st Tank Battalion in World War II. And so I had both films. So I was a fan. And him hitting me back, I think I sent him an email and sent him some footage of, that's when I was first getting Wilmington on Fire going. I had a little bit of footage shot. I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, this dude ain't gonna hit me back. And he hit me back like a week later. And you know what? We've been chatting for like since 2011, and I still haven't met him in person yet. All of our conversation has been, whether it's been Zoom, text, email, and stuff like that, and phone. You know what I'm saying? Because he was in New York, now he's in LA. Same with Tariq Nasheed as well. So it's like, you can connect, I try to connect with everybody, had the same mindset and same spirit as me. And the internet, allows you to do that, where you can connect and work with people from New York and all over the country, all over the globe. So I definitely agree with you like that. You can start locally, but you can also, expand, your brand and connect with people on the national level as well.
Absolutely. So my last question is, and this is how we always end. Thank you so much for coming, by the way. I think we did a lot of letting people know what you got going on. But my last question is there, what do you want to ask me that you've always wanted to ask me but never have?
I would say, I guess, since we're talking about, I've talked to you about my depression type stuff, with film. Do you also deal with that in regards to your field of feeling overwhelmed and dealing with depression?
Regards to my field, for the most part.
How do you deal with it?
So I think, regards to my field, I would say it was probably more anxiety than depression. And that was probably in my 20s. I worked for a residential treatment facility, and whenever I walked onto campus, it was a 61-bed facility. I never knew what kind of day it was going to be. And I never knew what was going to pop off. And I didn't have awareness, I had a little bit of awareness, but not a lot of awareness of at the time how much it was impacting me and how much it was making me on edge and how much it was impacting my relationships. And now I look back and I'm like, yo, I can see why X, Y, and Z did not work. And a lot of that is because I was stressed out about work and just worked all the time. So I think for me, at that point in my life, professionally, it was more anxiety. I would say recently, I've struggled a lot with depression, and that's been not so much because of my clients, but more because things that have happened in my personal life. And one of the hardest things to do is to take all of my feelings and all my emotions and put them on a shelf, and then go into a session with the client and be with clients back to back to back. And that's something that I've had to kind of deal with in terms of right now in the pandemic. And to answer your question about how I deal with it, there's a couple things. One, I have learned to rely on my support system. So sometimes that's hitting you up and saying, hey, you available for a chat, and we'll talk. And you do a great job of giving me permission to dream. So like when I say I want to do da 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 da, and it seems like a really big dream, you're always like, all right, yeah, I bet we should do that. Like kind of just talking about this podcast. I mean, I talked to you about it before I released it anywhere, before I did the first episode. And you were so supportive. So for me, it's about that network, getting out of my head and utilizing that network, but making sure that the network I'm utilizing is individuals that are going to support me, both to my face and behind my back. Because what I've learned is there's some people out there that support me to my face, but behind my back, they're not on my team.
Yeah.
And that's been heartbreaking and has really caused a lot of depression and a lot of like, well, I'm not leaving the house anyway. So also I'm not going to get dressed, not work, not do all these other things. So one thing is reaching out to your network. And then the second thing is, no matter what you love, don't do it every day.
Right.
You know, so I love being a therapist. I love helping people. It really is a good time for me. I know that sounds crazy because I'm a trauma specialist, but I promise you I love my job, but I can't do it 6 days a week. And in a lot of ways, I was doing it 6 days a week prior to COVID. So now I'm learning boundaries and learning an art form and doing this podcast, because to me, this is not work. You're not my client, you're my friend. We're just kicking it, you know, and we happen to be recording it. So I don't feel this weight of taking care of you and making sure you're okay and helping you and all that. I feel like it's a equal partnership. I help you, you help me. So those would probably be the 2 ways I've been dealing with it.
Okay. Cool.
So, okay, I guess this is us. So we are going to, this will be available on everybody's platform, on Speller Street, on Christopher Everett, Franchon Francis, Healing Your Almonds. We're also going to post it on Buzzsprout in audio format so people can listen to it just as a regular podcast if you don't want to see our beautiful faces. And the last thing I just kind of want to close with is you can definitely volunteer to be a guest. If you'd like to be a guest, please hit me up. Let me know. We'll do a little pre-planning. If you don't want to be a guest, but there's something you want me to address from a mental health perspective, or just a woman of color perspective, or a Native perspective, or whatever kind of perspective, feel free also to hit me up on Healing Your Almond and let me know. I'm pretty much down to talk about almost anything. So we look for that kind of feedback. I actually don't do a good job of sitting around thinking, what do I want to tell people today? I do a much better job of people hit me up and saying, hey, Franchon, let's talk about this. So when Chris hit me up, he was like, there's a lot of intersection of documentary making and mental health. I'm like, okay, word, let's do that. So if anybody listening or in the audience, any of Chris's followers, Kiana's followers, my followers, if any of y'all have something you want to talk about, please let us know, because we will be recording another episode in about 2 weeks. Again, thank you guys both so much for joining us. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Please be safe. There's a lot happening out there in the world.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Chris. Keep being dope.